You had 48 hours to respond, and you have not met our demands. We warned you the consequences will be severe, and for this reason, we are fully taking over.
I cannot believe you did that. You are a terrible person.
I believe that he came on to me first because I came back from university and he was like, hey, let's hang out. Whereas people that he was in the city with, he wasn't saying, hey, let's hang out. So obviously that means he's in love with me and he wants to marry me.
Right. My name is Tolu, and I've been married for a glorious 3 weeks.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Hey. That's all we can give. Thank you.
You said I'm tired.
I could nap right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
Wow.
But I'm also very hungry.
Oh, you didn't find the snack?
No. Wow, that's a heavy snack. It's not a snack. It's
Quick snack.
It's a meal. Pounded yam.
Quick snack. Quick snack.
It's a meal.
Quick midnight snack.
It's a very it's a heavy meal actually. One that that knocks you out. Yeah.
Is your perspective sleep?
Yeah.
Like what's the plan?
Have you really eaten?
If you don't knock yourself out?
Don't knock yourself out.
That
yes.
is...
Talk about it.
No, yes you have eaten, actually. Then that's the scientific answer. Yeah.
That's so fascinating.
I don't know. I need to see the facts.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I usually try to avoid that because
then am I full?
yes,
Yeah.
we have an
Okay,
overeating
so wait.
problem. We don't know when we're full.
So your body will continuously
stuffed.
tell you to eat.
I think we can just agree to disagree.
Okay. Have we started?
Yeah.
Cool. Whoa, this is okay. Wait, I have to start this too. Oh my god. Okay, are you ready? Okay. Hi guys. Hi listeners. Okay, so welcome to the Release podcast. Yay! The voice that you're listening to sounds, a bit more feminine. A bit more from, across the pond, across yonder. This is not Ola or Funta. I'm Temi. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi, Temi.
And I have 3 beautiful girls with me today. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Tolu.
Okay, hi Tolu.
Is there anything else I'm supposed to?
No, not yet. We'll let them keep them on their toes for now.
My name is Onome.
Beautiful Onome. Hello.
My name is Adesua.
Adesua. Is that the name we're going with today? Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Actually, yeah. Yes.
You want to change your name?
No.
Anybody else want to change their name?
Good.
No? Okay, so today, is there a title for this? You come up with the titles later, don't you? Yeah, that's how you do it. Okay. Nice. Okay, well, hi guys. Welcome to the podcast. Wow, I'm nervous. Okay. So today, what are we going to be talking about? I don't know. I have 3 beautiful girls with me here today, and we're going to be chit-chatting about life, probably. I'm going to ask them some questions. I'm here to glean from their knowledge. Their very hefty, heavy knowledge base.
3 weeks of knowledge. That's a big
Well, you're a
much.
baby in this department.
Yeah, I'm sorely disappointed. I'm going to just tell you right away.
Why?
I don't know Jack.
You don't know anything?
No.
That's okay. We can learn from each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be better.
So in this group of 4 right here, there's one thing is not like the other. Okay? It's in terms of relationship status. That's the difference. So these 3 beautiful women are they're married. Wow. Glory be to God. They have found their spec. And I am not yet. Thank you, Jesus. So I'm gonna be learning from them today, I guess, about what it's like to be married, or what it was like. How did you get here? Because some of us are trying to, get there one day. Hallelujah, amen. So who wants to start off by giving us a very quick summary of how you met your significant others? Okay. I'm just going to, man, will you go first? Please?
Fantastic. Okay. I guess we always kind of knew each other.
Wait, actually pause. I feel like I should give some context to like who everybody is, right? Yeah. So maybe say your name, your age. I think that's enough. You don't need to tell them anymore, do you? Or anything else you want to tell them? True. How long have you been with your partner?
As you can tell, guys, this would be a very chaotic episode.
Yeah, it's
We
going to be
love
all
it.
over the place.
We
I'm
love
very
the
sorry.
chaos.
Very
So
sorry. I'm going to start.
Okay.
My name is Temi. Hi. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm 25. Yep, that's all you need to know.
I guess I'll go next. My name is Tolu. Like I said earlier, I am 27.
Wow.
27.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been married for a glorious 3 weeks.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Amen.
Won't he?
Okay.
My name is Onome. I'm also 27. And I've been married for 2.5 years. Wow.
Woo.
Oh, 2.5.
Wow, big mommy.
My name is Adeswa. It's about to make it.
I was going to say you.
My name is Adeswa. I am 25 and I've been married.
We're the same age?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty young.
Yeah, she's a baby.
Yeah, don't you know when
That's why she kept making the child bride.
Yeah. I mean, I also said that
Whoa,
too.
I did
said
not
that
know
too.
we were the same age.
That's why I keep making jokes about how his parents are crazy.
He's not. He's not. He's
2
not.
years
Too.
is not.
2 years is all.
But yes,
No.
I am
Damn.
25 and I've been married for almost a year now. I don't
Woo.
know how long it's been, but it's been
Almost a
like
year.
8 months.
Yeah, about 8. Yeah, I think you're right.
I know it's
Wow.
closer because it's August, right?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
August.
And
Yeah.
this is May, June, July. That's like 10.
10?
10. That's 10 months.
We're not July.
No. We're still in May.
But they got married in July.
It's true though.
It depends on which.
I mean,
day
I
of
forgot
the-
that, but I mean, I was right.
I don't know what just happened.
So we
Because
actually
they
had our
technically-
civil-
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Wait,
That's
which
the
one
guy.
do you guys use as your anniversary?
all of them.
Oh, so you get,
So you
more?
get
Cool.
2 gifts.
That's the plan. I mean, we haven't really. Yeah, it's
Sure, you haven't
it's
gotten
hard.
there to the first one yet, so
We'll decide when we get there. 'Cause
Oh.
for right now, we talk about it like it's August. So
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
Fair enough. Okay. Cool. So, Onoma, do you want to let us know how you got with your mans?
Yeah. So I've always kind of known him. He's my friend's brother. Yeah. I don't know if that's taboo or anything. It is what it
happens.
is.
Yeah, it
It
happens.
happens. I wasn't actively searching for him like that. It just happened. I believe that he came on to me first because I came back from university and he was like, hey, let's hang out. Whereas people that he was in the city with, he wasn't saying, hey, let's hang out. So obviously that means he's in love with me and he wants to marry me.
Right.
Yeah, that was the
obviously.
mindset.
Obviously.
Obviously.
1 + 1 = 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that happened in December 2018. He said, hey, let's hang out. We went out for ramen January 2019.
Timestamps for me. I love.
And then we went to like a Valentine's dinner in February.
it's nice that you have those.
Yeah, we'll talk
just
about
a little
that.
bit.
Tolu. We'll get there.
I've had time to think. I've had time to think. And then like we just like kind of hung out and talked. And he was like doing soccer, so he wasn't in the city. You'd be like going around. Yeah, we were talking this entire time. I was like, oh, he's just shy, but he wants to marry me. He's in love with me, clearly. And I think by like the summer, by like July, certain people were like, you sure? Like, you said nothing else has changed. You just been talking. I said, no, he's in love with me. He wants to marry me. Thank you very much. Then he got signed and I was like, oh, wow. Let me take you out to celebrate. I just wanted to go on a date and have an excuse. So yeah, we went on a date. I took him out. I picked him up. I paid for the dinner. I dropped him off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, we're just celebrating. But really, I knew it was all in my plans, and just to push him more, because obviously I knew he was in love with me. Anyway, eventually we got together in November 4th specifically. He asked me out. I said yes. It was very beautiful. And then we dated for 2 years before we got married. He proposed January 2021, and we got married November 2021.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so because I have a short memory sometimes, when I have a question, I'm just gonna, yeah. So before we move on to the next person, so you took him out,
Yeah.
like fully, like
Yeah.
transportation.
I went and dined him.
Wow. Would you?
Recommend that?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The more I think about it, the more that I'm like, this relationship on my part was very delusional. So I don't know if it's safe. I don't know if it's safe for me to tell all the women that Delulu is a Solulu,
But you're
because it might not be your
though.
Solulu.
But you won.
It was
you
my
won.
Solulu.
But your
I-
delusion
yeah.
was fact.
But also, I do remember
She was in
I
the
had
spirit.
talked to a friend before.
God was talking to you.
I had talked to a friend before, and I was like, God, I'm sick and tired of these men. They've been playing me. I don't want like the next guy I get with is gonna be my husband. And like it was a joke. It was a joke.
You don't
And
joke
God
with
took
God.
it
listening.
You don't
seriously.
joke with God.
I was just like, I just said it in passing. I forgot about it. And then I was single for 3 years, and I said, I'm a fine babe. What's going on? How come there's no men? Not realizing that I literally asked God that. I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Tumbleweed.
Yeah, literally.
Not
I
the
said,
tumbleweed.
it literally was tumbleweed. Like no men approaching, nothing. I said, this is so awkward. Okay.
So you think it's delusion that carried you through? Like you wouldn't
Majority
recommend?
of the, yes, because I've talked to other women, and they're like, if someone wasn't really like you're in a talking stage for almost a year, they would have given up.
Who, you would have given up?
No, that they would not have continued for a full year thinking, oh, this man is still into me.
The you were talking to another woman, and they were like, if they were in a talking stage for a year,
Yeah,
they would.
That they would have been like, maybe it's time to wrap it up.
Okay.
But like I said, it started. He said, let's hang out December 2018. We started dating November 2019.
Okay. So I already know you guys' stories. We have baby girls. Would you guys say the same thing? Like, would you agree there that like, think back to your single days? If you were talking to somebody for
Almost a year.
almost a year, would you stay? And I'm asking because like I know you guys are stories as well.
So, do you want to go first?
The only thing I think about when I think about that is the fact that, yeah, like a year is obviously, if you look at it just as a year, it seems like a long time. But then if you think about the fact that during that year, like things are also happening. Like what if you're in school? Like what if your focus isn't even that?
But I feel like in school, a year is even longer because a month, like the relationship you can, what is it called? The relationship you can grow in a month in the bubble of school is equivalent to like a year on the outside. So a year in school,
like no, but I mean in terms of like your focus too. Like it's different if you're in a talking stage with someone and you're very like actively ready for the next stage. But then if you are in a talking stage with someone and like getting to the next stage isn't really what, like maybe you're literally just like busy. Like it's not something that is at the forefront of your mind in terms of what you want to happen.
So okay,
I'm kind of different. I don't like pointless things. So if there's no point, I'm just.
I feel you.
I'd rather you circle back, like when you're ready.
really?
You like to spin the block.
hold
She
on.
said circle back.
Let me land. So when I say I'd rather you circle back, there's a likelihood it's still gonna be no, but at least you showed investment.
Okay,
wait.
At least your time wasn't wasted.
Do you get? At least I'm not wasting my time.
Okay, wait. Wow. Okay,
I'm
I
just
didn't know this
I'd
about you.
rather that, because if we're in there for a year, that's a year of pointless conversations and pointless emotions and pointless.
But how do you know it's pointless?
To her.
To me, like, so I was going to make a point when Honora was talking that I think we say delusional to be funny, but I think there's a thin line between delusion and faith. I think what kept Onome through just hearing the story is faith and knowing that silently God is keeping something for me. Whereas for me, my stories, I guess, because my story is entirely different, right? I was not in a place where I was actively desiring a relationship.
Okay.
In fact, I remember a conversation, myself and my friend, and we're talking to this other friend of mine back in Vancouver. And it was so funny because we talked about how I was like, well, I'm single, me and Jesus for life. Like, literally, I was not.
Why would you proclaim?
It wasn't like a proclamation or anything. It was just my reality. I was like, well, I'm not, this is not a thing. Everyone else is desiring this, but I find I'm not really looking for it. And my friend that we were talking to left that conversation and basically took us to Jesus and said, God, these are your daughters.
As she should. We love it.
Because what I'm hearing from
That's
them
a good friend.
is not real.
That's a good friend.
So
And
they're
it's
scaring me.
But like, that's just the reality of where I was in my life at that time. So I feel like I like just describing that situation. A year of my life to me was more valuable than any potential relationship that could come.
So, okay, there's a couple of things there.
Yeah.
Onome, were you praying during this time? Because I think like single people looking to be married, I think especially as Christians, right, there's a lot of like, what should I be doing? Like, what's the right thing to do as a single woman or a single man looking for a God-centered relationship? And there's like the side of Christian dating that's like weird, and then there's the side of Christian dating that's like a bit more like realistic, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if, you know what I mean. So like, were you praying during that time?
I did pray, but we also have to keep in mind I was 21 at that time. Like when it for all started, I was 21, and I was like really actually getting into my Christian faith more. Like I was a very much baby Christian, so maybe it might not be as intense where people are in their lives now. Like I said before, I like had flippantly said 3 years before, was that 19? Yeah, at 19 years old, I said, oh, LOL, the next guy I date is gonna be my husband. You're not, you're not, I don't know, not that you're not serious, but it's not, I don't know, it's not the same intentionality, a 19-year-old as someone that's like 23, 24. It's not the same.
Or I guess for you, in your situation, the difference.
That's kind of what I meant too with like the year thing, because a year, like if you think about a year when you were younger,
it
doesn't mean the same thing. If you think about a year like now,
which is why I agree with what you're saying, Adeshua, that like a year now sounds like a waste of time, because so much can happen and be accomplished, and life can change so much,
and we're so much more mature now, so we actually are intentionally living our days. We're not just living because tomorrow we know we're gonna wake up. We have plans, we have intentions for every single day.
You see, that's the interesting thing for me, is because at that age, I think I was around 19 when I was talking to my friend, that was all I had. It was like my plans and my year. And so thinking of a relationship that just didn't feel like it was going anywhere, or someone I thought I fancied at the time, and we're just talking for a year, like that felt like a waste of time, because I was trying to go to school, I was trying to like get my PR, like there were so many other things on my mind that would never have like, worked
I feel me. I agree with that. Before we move on to the next story, another question, or maybe it's a thought that I have, and then I want you guys to like let me know what you think. So Onome, you said that when, like, I guess when you were dating Tofa or whatever, your spiritual maturity was different then than it is now, or when you were dating, even if it wasn't, just like when you were looking and whatever, your spiritual maturity was different. So how am I gonna phrase this? I guess my question is like, no, I'm gonna keep it to a statement. I'm gonna say my statement, and then you guys let me know what it is. I feel like when I talk to like married people, it doesn't really matter the age, honestly, like younger, older. Obviously, they're gonna give the advice of like, you want your partner to be God fearing, or like, you know, all of those Christian values. My observation is that a lot of the married people, especially like, let's say like our parents' ages, where they are now in their spiritual journey and maturity and like their walk with Christ is very different than when they like where they were when they first got into a relationship. So sometimes I think when I think of that, I think like, okay, as I am right now, I know that like I'm growing as I am now, and I'm going to have grown a lot by the grace of God in like 10, 20 years once I've been with my partner or whatever. Does that mean that like I'm being a bit too harsh on prospects now, like not having enough grace for them at the moment? Or is it that I should like, or is it that like, I don't know how, like, am I being too harsh? Like, I feel like I'm using the expectations of somebody that's already established, right? In my present time, like not only to the other person, but to myself. Like, is that a bit too harsh? Or like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'm not
saying, yeah. I get what you're saying. It really depends on what exactly you're looking for. I don't know like what exactly you're thinking is established, but for me, because both of us were both kind of like at the same stage, like we just kind of started very much baby Christians
when you started
dating.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think like the main thing, like obviously like don't expect them to be, I don't know, some like prayer warrior or something immediately.
But I think
they
that,
might
like
be.
when you talk to like older people that have been married for years, that's kind of how
that was the way they judged whether
yeah
someone was
so like I'm
partner.
thinking, okay, but like when you met your husband, was he a prayer warrior? Like probably not. Like
No.
he became that through
Yeah.
your marriage. So then it's like, okay, like,
But you can
what
see
am I
those
really
things in their character.
Yes.
Even if they're not that yet, there's certain things about their character that will show you there's the type of person they are. As they grow, they might like kind of get in this type of way. Like, for example, Tofa's very
disciplined.
Yes, that's the word.
I knew that's what you were gonna say, and I was
I was
thinking
gonna
the
say
same
serious.
thing.
I was gonna say serious, but I was like, it's not
Disciplined.
serious.
Disciplined is the
He's
word.
very disciplined. So I know whatever aspect of his life that he's going to apply that in every single aspect of his life. So including his walk of faith, he's gonna be very like, this is what is gonna happen type of thing. So it's more of like you also look at their character, and if like they just have a heart that's willing to learn and willing to grow in God.
I think that's exactly right, because like we talk about things like, oh, that we shouldn't necessarily trust potential in guys. Like some people will say that, but I don't know if I quite agree with that, because even when you meet somebody, you can kind of, at least I can, maybe that's different for me now because I'm older and because I'm more mature than I was years ago, but you can sort of see those characteristics even before even getting to know someone. So you can see if someone is kind. You don't need to be their bestie to know that they're kind. If someone is disciplined, for example, anybody can see Tofa from miles away and know that he's disciplined. Like no one, you don't have to get close to him to know that. So those are the kind of characteristics that can exist regardless of your walk, like in terms of your Christian walk. So I completely agree with what Emma said.
I think you're right. Sometimes, especially when you talk to people who've been married for a while, they use their current knowledge to give advice to people who don't have the same
like
knowledge
we're
base.
right at the beginning of the journey.
Like, but if you listen carefully to what they're saying, there's a kernel of truth in it. So for example, when people say, oh, as a woman you should be praying, Well, they're saying it as though it is entirely your responsibility to pray, but it isn't. Both of you should be praying. But what they are trying to say is that, for example, the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. That means as you are now, everything that you need to be a wife, by the time you're found, you have it.
Yeah.
So there's no making after, right? There's nothing, there's no line or there's no like thing.
Yeah.
You don't become, you are, right? And so it's up to somebody to find you. But the thing about that is the best place they can find you is in God, because if you hide yourself in God, no riffraff is going to find you. That's just the truth. Like no one who is like anyhow will find you. So like part of the whole thing of me when I was like, oh, I wasn't looking for a relationship, because I was fully and really and truly entirely focused on God. Like a relationship felt like a waste of time. That's where it was. And it took God, the same God who I was like, yeah, I'm committed to you, saying, oh, but here's my son though. You like him now. Look at him. He's cool.
Stop praying. God talk to him.
He's cool. You can go for it. It's okay. I'm here. Don't worry. I'm with you. He can't do you anyhow. So I think I say that to say that a lot of the time these ideals are not to like choke you, not to feel like you have to die under the weight of, oh, let me become something that I am not. No, there's still a level of we'll grow together. But if
Okay, that's what I like. I like the
you
like,
will definitely, even where you start from, it's still not your ending point. You're still gonna grow, because everything you think you know will be tested the minute you say I do.
was gonna say.
You
But
think
let's
you know?
not- yes.
No, they can tell you. See, let me tell you the truth. What they'll tell you, oh, you start testing where you say I do is a lie. The minute you say, oh yeah, I'll be your girlfriend. Oh, ew! All the manner of nastiness starts to come out, and not just in him, but also in you. You start to realize, I'm actually attracted. Do you know how many times where I would sit down with
Because
myself
of the
and be like,
proximity that they have to you, right?
Exactly.
The way that somebody who knows you can pick out all of your flaws.
there were times where I'd look at myself in the mirror after a conversation and be like, Adi, I can't believe you did that. I cannot believe you did that. You are a terrible person. Like, and it doesn't. And I feel like people are not more honest about that part of like being in a relationship. Is that relationships are like the perfect testing. If you think about why God. Sorry, I'm trying to get all biblical on you, but no. If you think about why God
Continue.
if you think about why God instituted marriage, it's like to be like a representation of the fullness of Him here on earth. And so both of you are basically going to tease out everything that is not everything that is not right in each other, so that the two of you become ultimately more like Christ.
Wow.
Right?
That's a beautiful story.
So it
The way that she said it was so beautiful.
it's annoying. No, it's beautiful, but it's annoying. It's painful because there's a lot of things that we as especially we like. So what I was saying is that like you are, by the time you will get married, you have everything that you need to be a wife. In singleness, what you can do then is say, okay, if you look in scripture, what does a wife look like? Like, and one of the things I know people are always throwing around Proverbs 31, but if you look at the stuff she does, it's not the things that people think you do, right? Like the Proverbs 31 woman is able to care for her family, but also command several businesses. She's able, the one scripture that stood out to me the first time I read that was the Bible says, because of her husband is respected at the city gates. So it's not just like,
It's sweet.
It's not just like, I'm a wife. No. Because of you and because you are in his life, he is ultimately more respected. He has honor now. Another Bible verse talks about how the wife is the like crown of her husband. It's not that you are just. I know current discourse in our generation is that being a wife is, they are just going to install you at home. If that was what
Install is crazy.
No, but serious
Software.
it's like software updates. Like I had someone one time tell me I want to marry a praying wife. Okay, you can't pray. I don't understand. Is your mouth broken? so like according to discourses that you look for somebody that's already strong in the faith and you marry them and now okay they make up for your own failures, but that's not what the Bible says marriage is. No. So you two, like, it's okay to have standards to say, well, that guy, his character, like you said something earlier that was around potential. I think we shouldn't judge by potential, but because potential, if you think about it, it's like kind of like an assumption, but judge with like potential that's backed up by evidence, character, right?
Yeah.
Consistent character too.
God bless you,
Yes,
consistent
yes,
character.
consistent
Like
character.
if someone is kind to strangers, they will be kind to you.
Mm-hmm.
If we say okay, somebody is God fearing, but there are a lot of God fearing people with bad character.
Yeah.
Dirty,
Nasty people.
smelling, like irritating,
Disgusting,
like somebody that will tell you, oh, they love Jesus, but they are gossiping everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even trust them with,
yeah.
oh, my rice is in the fridge. They'll tell you. They'll tell the whole neighborhood. So, like, let's be like vigilant and like you're supposed to watch them. I think one of the things I'm talking a lot. Sorry, it was something my aunt told me the first time I was meeting a first family. My aunt was like, okay, well, don't go there and be doing like what they. Actually, like, watch how he's interacting with his family as well, because you know what, somebody, you know how important your family is to you. If he can't care for his family, he's not going to treat your family like anything, right? So like stuff like that. So you do have, because you're valuable. So knowing the value that you have, you can't just give it to just anybody. And also you can trust that God won't just give your value to anybody. So even if the person who ends up coming is not the entire picture of everything you think, you're like, or if you're really saying God is me and you, if you bring anybody here, I'm going to trust you and say that whoever you're bringing to me is not going to treat me anyhow or treat my heart anyhow, because my heart is first with you. But yeah, and you should be okay.
And if they do, we'll come correct.
Absolutely.
'Cause
He be
at a
checking
time-
them quickly.
Never they'll be checking you quickly. Cause one time, no. Well, me, I'm saying personally, like one time, I don't know. I guess I was being mean or whatever. So I was like, "You're not being nice to me." And I was like, "Oh, whatever." And I went to sleep. I had a dream. Goes, but I start treating your husband with more respect. He said, "Don't talk to him that way. You need to be nicer." I said,
Damn.
There's
I
been
woke up, I
times
said,
when
Damn.
there've been times when Ife and I, like, we disagree on something and we're disagreeing strongly, and I'm like in a room by myself, and like an hour later he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's like, that he was in the room. You couldn't even pray. I'm being so honest, because that's what happens when like Jesus is like at the center of your home. Is that I can't treat Ife anyhow and I won't feel it. I won't be able to do anything. I will just be feeling useless. Like, what did I do?
As they're saying this, I'm just thinking about, this was when me and Lulu were still, when we were engaged, but
Tolu is newly wedded.
3 weeks. Yeah.
3 weeks, wow. For the people that do not know.
Yeah.
"Sweet love."
But yeah, one thing that honestly, like, and the thing is, one day we were just talking, I'm like, yes, you can do a lot of growth on your own, but the kind of growth that you are forced to do
With somebody else.
with
like that.
somebody else,
And it's ugly because they're
It's
watching. Like
ugly.
they're present there.
it's like to the point that you're sitting there like, I'm a terrible person.
person, yeah.
And the thing is, before you went in like, oh, how could he, like, I am literally the best thing that ever happened
Humility.
to you.
You're like, "I'm the prize," and all of a sudden you're like,
And then
Humility.
at the end of your conversation, you're like, how could I have said that to you?
Right.
And even like one thing that made me one of the things that I believe made me more sensitive just to the Holy Spirit was that whenever I would, like, me and Lulu would have disagreements, I would be typing, because usually our disagreements happened when we weren't near each other. So I'd be texting, and I'll just text out something. And usually I read my text messages before I send them out, especially when that long, right? So I'll just be texting it. And as I'm texting, I'm like, yes, he needs to hear this. Yes, I can't believe he did this to me. And then I'll be reading. And as I'm reading back, I was just here. My spirit will just start to
Delete it. Yeah, remove this same thing.
and it's never
You know, in Dune.
Backspace.
What is that spirit in Dune that like it tells them to like move something? It's
Ben
move.
and Jesuit.
Yeah,
Your voice. Just literally, you just say okay. So sometimes you write your text as per venting. You write the full thing, and then the Holy Spirit say, okay, you've done your own. Erase this one.
just
Highlights.
literally, you just see, as I'm going through it and editing it, the spirit would just be like, "Don't say it like that. He's going to take it that way. Don't say it like that."
I'll tell you, don't.
And then I remember because the one time I was like, you know, whatever, like he needs to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, this is the truth. I did it afterwards. What he said to me, I felt like I felt like the worst person in the world. I felt like, how could I? Why did I just listen? Why did I just listen?
You know,
And
for me,
afterwards, I was so ashamed
yeah,
of what I had said.
for me, it's full stops.
When somebody else sends you a full stop?
No,
Or
no,
when
no.
you send a full
When I
stop?
start saying full stop, I'm angry.
Yeah.
So there's times where I'll intentionally type and start putting full
Yeah,
stop
so
in
that they
every single
know.
thing, and just be like, okay, cool, you've done your own. Go ahead, erase it. Just be, you know that the reason why you are putting the full stop
Like,
here
you know.
is so that he can know that he's
You're
angry.
angry,
But the thing
yeah.
is, both of you are angry. He knows you're angry, so there is no need for all of this. You can't be more angry than somebody who is angry. Both of you are angry, so there is no need.
Okay. I mean,
But yeah, funny
that's fair. That all makes sense. I just wanted to bring up that question or statement because I've had conversation with other friends too who are like navigating like the dating scene and stuff as a Christian woman, and it's very apparent that there is a, like, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but like you feel like you need to be this like kind of woman to, I don't want to say
No,
get a man, but like
say it as it is.
I feel like within the church, you know, like there's a prototype.
Dickness.
There's like a prototype of a woman that is a wife. Even like the Proverbs 31, like you'll list all that thing, blah blah blah. And I feel like when people quote that, there's some people that like like
Exactly
it seems like a lot of people try and change themselves in order to become this type of Christian woman in order to get this man so that you can have this marriage. And when I deeped it, I was like, I feel like that kind of goes against the whole relationship with Christ thing, because God knows who you are. He made you as you. So obviously he wants you to possess certain traits as a believer of Christ, but that doesn't look like one person. But I feel like in the church it is like there is an image of this type of woman, and you have to, like, not that you have to, but like, you know, you kind of have
Do you know
to be
what that
this
is,
like
though?
type of woman, huh?
I said, you know what that is though?
What?
The reason why it feels so monotonous is because it is Christ that you're seeing. So the more proximity you have to the person, that expression may look very different, but on the surface outside looking in, it's very much Jesus. So there's certain traits, like you said, that we are born like, that God has put in us because we are supposed to achieve certain things on the earth, or he wants his expression of himself in you to look like this. But there's certain things that aren't traits or aren't characteristics. They just aren't, like, the way the Bible puts it is like, it's not everything is lawful, but not everything is
good.
expedient. So there's certain things that, like, you will, like, for example, it's not bad to, if you are a type of person who the first thing that comes to your mind is about yourself, doesn't mean you're entirely a bad person. But if no one would look at you and say, oh, you're a very selfish person, that would be unfair. Because what if immediately the first thing that comes to your mind is, how does this affect me? But then the next 2, 4, 5, 6 questions is, how does that action affect everyone else? But if every single time consistently you're the type of person who's looking out for yourself and not for the good of everyone around you, then you are a selfish person. And so that's something that God, if you look to him, he fixes. Like you said, I think a key issue is that a lot of the time we are forcing ourselves to fit that mold. But the person who you love, Jesus, helps you fit the mold. It's like, even if you think about it as like coming to Christ or getting to know Jesus or giving your life to Christ, right? Do it. He's coming soon, guys. But if
Little plug.
just a Jesus plug there. Sorry. But no, like, if you think about it as becoming a believer, there's a lot of things that you just somehow lost appetite for. Like, there are things you could.
Sorry, before you
Yeah.
continue on, when I say prototype, I very much so mean physical, like not traits.
Physical.
Like, so like
Interesting.
I kind of know. I
feel
see
like-
what you're saying.
like
yeah.
clothing wise?
clothing. Like I'm thinking like a skirt and a blazer with the hat kind of
that's
vibe.
that's-
do you know what I mean?
I retract.
Like, that's a very like extreme,
My
like,
bad.
physical whatever.
But yeah.
I get
do you know what I mean? Like I feel
Yeah.
like people
Okay.
see themselves as they are, and then they're like, well, no, I have to become this prim and proper. I have to wear heels to church and the skirt. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No.
if that's a conviction
Yeah.
for you, that's different, right? But like, it's not that you be like you have to morph into this.
No.
I don't think that the whole point of our Christian walk is necessarily
Yeah.
that we all have to look like.
And
Yes,
that's what I'm trying
exactly.
to get at, because
That
the
was my
conversations
bad,
I've had
guys.
with other friends is like it's like, oh, like they're feeling bad that they like that they're not that, and it's like, well, we're not all like looking like one person.
Yeah.
The most important thing is those traits, right? So if you are dealing with pride and like jealousy and stuff
Exactly.
like that, that's things that you need to be pushed out of you and you need to work on, right? But if you're thinking, oh, I'm not wearing a blazer to church, so I'm not going to get a husband, it's like I don't think that's
Yeah, I will
where
say,
we are.
in addition, sort of
That's
on the
outrageous.
same level
Yeah.
of what
But I
she
do
was
agree with
saying.
Yeah.
what you were saying for sure.
On same level as what she was saying, what it made me think about is that one of the things, and I think this might be a pet peeve for me, is that when I see people who are kind of fake, like they're not genuine, and that's sort of where that comes in. And I think people think that you have to be fake to be like very holy or very godly. But like it's
you play a
literally the
character.
opposite, because even if you look at how we're supposed to do this Christian walk, our works mean nothing. Like you're not holy because you did something good. Like you're holy because Jesus saw you and he's like, well, I love you, so I'm gonna have to make you holy, otherwise we can't spend eternity together. So the fact that people are trying to change things like outward appearance, like solely so that they can, like, that's not really, you're supposed to be changed from the inside out. So it's not that you wake up one day and you're like, okay, I'm a Christian now, so now I'm not gonna drink.
Right, sanctification.
I'm
is a
not gonna
process that you-
I'm gonna dress in blazers and long skirts. Like no one will see any inch of my skin. Like that's not where it's supposed to start from. It's supposed to be that you start with those traits, with those characteristics. You work with Jesus to get to deal with those things on the inside, and then he works to help you express them.
Right. There we go.
When people try and do it in like the opposite order, they now feel like, okay, I'm holy because I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
But you're not. You're holy because Jesus loves you.
Right.
Say,
that.
yeah, if that's what you're worried about, don't worry, because I got married and I'm hella weird. No, because Toba told me, he said, yeah, you know, at first when like we're gonna date and like I was like, that was your wife, he was like, oh, you sure? He was like,
Crazy.
kind of weird. Are you sure?
That's
not really what I was He was like, I didn't really
No.
He was like, I don't know. So those things don't matter. Like, I'm married
Dude.
2.5 years. I'm going to conventions dressing up as cartoon characters. You're fine.
No, like my issue was I'm not the most feminine girl. So also that was also a complex for me before I got married. And I guess it also feeds into why I just thought it was not in the cards for me. But I got married. I'm still not the most feminine person in the world. Like I'm not that.
Why do you think that?
Huh?
If you don't,
No, sorry. I was not expecting that. No, actually not therapy. So here's the thing, right? Like I think, like you said, there is, growing up in Nigeria, there is a prototype of what people physically look like in the church, and what is hailed as like, oh, you're the feminine, like the
even
Jesus,
like wife,
like not even just what, just even just woman in
there we
church,
go. Yeah, woman. Yeah,
right? And so like for me, I've always been like a tomboy. I can beat you if you're from, like, now I'm learning to like skirts. Like no. I mean now I'm learning to like skirts, but as a kid, every time my mom would make me wear a skirt or a dress, it was all I could wear in Nigeria. But even then I hated it. I didn't have any other option. I couldn't wear trousers to church, but I hated it still. Moving to Canada, I was like, yeah, I'm now alone. No more. I'm just wear all my trousers. And I was wearing trousers for a while. So in terms of what, like, even if you look at the North American church, what looks like femininity is like pearls and like, you know, floral dresses that aren't necessarily the prettiest, but like you like what you like. Good for you.
She said they're ugly.
I didn't say they're ugly.
She said they're ugly, but they're ugly, but it's okay.
Guys, relax now. I'm just saying that for me, they hold no appeal. So I'm saying that, like, so there's just a lot of things that like didn't necessarily like. I don't like pearl earrings. I'm just starting to wear earrings. I'm not wearing any today, but like just jewelry was not my thing. I just looked plain Jane, and most of the time I'll go. I won't even lie.
No, okay, first of all, before we continue on, let's just say everybody here is a girly pop.
No. I'm not talking about now.
Say it with me.
Girly pop.
Girly
I'm talking
pop.
about now.
Yeah, girly pop.
She said the
I said
Bernice
back
of
then,
that.
back then.
But even then.
Ah no, Masobe.
Even then, you were a cute babe. Even then, you were. You were.
Okay, let me give you an example. Actually, no, I don't want to put my market. Sorry, forget about that.
The thing is, we all grow, we all glow up, we all
Thank God
lean into
for that growth.
Look, Auntie, you want to say that you are something? Let me pull up pictures that were are on the internet currently.
It's
actually.
okay.
You want to go?
You know,
go for Uggo? We can go Uggo for Uggo.
Moving on. We'll check in after. I can tell you the stories, but not online. Not online. I need to preserve my dignity. So I say that to say that, like, I wasn't, when in my mind or in my understanding of what life was, whenever people said, oh, this is what a Christian woman looks like or a Christian girl looks like, I didn't fit it. And so parts of a thing when Ife, and not just, sorry, just a caveat, not just physically, also characteristic wise, like I'm not, you know, I was like, oh, women like to talk. I know that just, oh gosh, that's not gonna stress me out. I'm just so there's like, there was just a lot of things that made it feel like I'm not here. I don't feel represented here. I'm gonna be here, but I don't feel represented in the body of Christ. That all changed when I first laid my eyes on Jackie Hill Perry, and I was like, oh,
that's a good
love.
representation. Yeah.
Love how you know, I recently sent a picture to Ife, like she wears jorts, and I'm like, this is what I want to start dressing like now. For sure. But I say that to say that, like, even that, like, there's certain things, like, because we don't see ourselves represented in certain spaces, we also then take those ideals and then put ourselves in a box. And so we say, oh well, I'm disqualified because I'm not this. I'm disqualified because I'm not that. But the truth is, God doesn't need you to be anything but who you are.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway that I wanted from that, like, statement.
And things will change. Like, and the thing is, the more you allow God to, like, just allow yourself to be yourself with God, even some of the things you think you don't like, you start to like them. I'm building a jewelry collection. I'm having so much fun. I find myself randomly just looking on Amazon like, what earring can I buy today? And it's like, it's so outrageous because that's something I would have never associated with my person. Right. But when you just really and truly allow yourself to, God, you know what, this is me. Like, if I find a nice skirt, I'm gonna buy it. Will I wear it once a year? Possibly, but I'll buy it, right? So, like, we can be fluid in our walk with God. Like, allow him to be the captain of the ship, and don't try to fight it yourself, and know that everything you are right now, there's somebody for. Even in my Ogo stage, there was somebody
yeah, somebody
was still checking for me.
We're all girly pops. Let's be
that's
remembering
what it is.
that.
Yeah, cuties.
Okay, so we've gone very far with this one story.
Yeah.
Bernice, sorry, Adeshua. Would you like to let us know how you? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. My name is also Bernice, guys. But
let us know how you met your husband. Your husband.
Crazy. I met Ife in university.
College sweethearts.
No.
Actually, that wasn't the case. That actually wasn't the case. I was there the whole time. I saw that wasn't the case.
Not even close. Yeah. So no, I met Ife at UBC. I actually don't remember exactly how we became friends. I know that the first time he met me at church, he greeted me "Good morning, ma." So that should give you a sense of what I look like. Disheartening. Please. Literally, I just remember this tall guy, like really bending down to greet "Good morning, ma," because I came to church early. That was my mistake. Came to church early. But yeah. So we met in uni, and I don't remember how we became friends. I just knew that we were friends. And yeah, he was just a different kind of person. Like, for some reason, I never felt the need to lie to him. Like, you know how you pretend to be different people in different spaces, but for some reason with this guy, I was just like, I don't know you like that to even care. I just for some reason never cared. So fast forward a few years after university was over, I had moved away from Kelowna, moved to Vancouver, was doing my own thing, living my own life. And
This is after uni, right?
yeah, after uni, living my own life. And then this guy that was my friend before messages me, and he's like, oh my God, I see that, like, oh, like we're talking. He's like, because when we're in uni, I was always like a church goer. My life may not have been perfect, but you gonna find me in that church. So I was there. That's what matters. And at the time, actually, I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship that I was in throughout uni. So I was in a long-distance relationship throughout uni. And by all accounts, I mean, if you ask him, he would have told you we're going to get married. In my mind, it's okay. It's okay. Let's leave that one to the side. So, and no shade, no tea to him. He was a sweet guy, had an amazing time, just could not have worked. So, but at that time, I had just gotten out, like I think a few months prior, gotten out of that relationship. I was like, God, you know what? I'm leaving everything I know and I'm focusing on you. And so that was in about January. I think we broke up January, and then by August, September, Ife messaged me. And he was like, oh, I see, like, I just had an encounter with God, because he had just had this encounter with God. And I guess interestingly, like you can ask him, maybe he'll tell you something different. But in my mind, I was his only like friend from the past who like would get it. I think. I don't know. You can ask him. So reached out to me, and I was like, oh, that's so cool that like you know Jesus and you love Jesus now. I love him even more than I did before. But yeah, so why don't we, love Jesus together? So we started like talking. We would yarn every once in a while about like Bible stuff. It would do like he'd read the scripture wherever he saw.
This was platonic though, right?
Extremely platonic. I can't even kid about how platonic this was. Because on the side,
well, on her point at least,
right?
No. At this point, it was.
I think both sides.
It was
both
still
sides
very
platonic.
platonic.
It was on both sides.
So at this point, of my ex had actually come back around. I was like,
you like to spin the block.
I don't spin the block. Oh, don't say like that. That seems a bit. That seems a bit.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad
just for me.
Her mind is just a little open, small.
No,
That's
my
fine.
mind's very closed. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Damn.
So let me explain. One of the things I realized about myself looking back is that I'm driven by comfort. If it's going to be something that's going to stress me out, I don't want no part of it. So when I remember when I was in high school, I prayed this prayer. I was like, God, any friend that's going to stress me, keep them away. I don't want them. I don't want them near me. If it's going to be a stress to my life, no thank you. And God kept his word. Since I was in high school, I've never had a problematic friend. They can have their drama in their life, but you don't used to reach my side. But anyway, back to the story. So I literally, at this time, my ex was like trying to circle back in, and I was like, why is this guy still here? This one that is still here. God, he don't look right. So I just kept that one on ice, and Ife and I kept talking. And so for me, all I know is January 31st, 2022, Ife and I are having one of our random conversations, and he's talking to me about something like something does not. I think I remember it. Let me not air him outside. But he was talking to me about something completely random, and I was just like, well, I just told him what I felt like the Holy Spirit was telling me to tell him about what he was saying. And the next thing he was like, I feel like our relationship is gonna get deeper after this evening. Sorry, Ife, I'm so sorry. Ife, I'm so sorry. He said, oh, I think I just get a sense that our relationship is going to, we're going into a new level of our relationship. And I was like, oh, cool. And I remember exactly what I said to him in response. I said, if we're going to do this, we can't muck it up. And he was like, yeah, I get what you mean. And I slept and woke up and it was like nothing had ever happened.
You just pretended like you didn't say that
Pretended?
we're going to do this.
What? Me?
Down.
Could never be.
Down.
And it was like that for months.
Oh wow.
I'm not kidding. Like I just was not. No, I was trying to go to again. I was trying to go to school. I was trying to get my PR. I think at that point, my PR card was lost. So is man, I big. So there was just so many. So it was just so many things. Like my life then did not have space. So I'm going to try and wrap this up quickly. My pastor, at some point, I had told Ife, like, this stuff is not going to work. We have to dead it. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not the one for you. Let's move on. Damn. I just want to be a friend. And if I said, like, okay. But when one person has, like, I wanted to continue talking to my guy as my guy. But my guy is not guy. I was. I'm telling you that I was not.
He just told you what, like, his plans for you, and you said, I don't remember. I don't recall saying that.
You know what? Let me use this term. Ife, I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh, love you so much. You tried.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we're still friends. Like, I don't know. We're still friends. So we would talk, and then when he felt like things were resurfacing, I was like, hey, distance, please. And then on the flip, on my own personal end, right, I can't speak for Ife. My pastor would ask me, oh, is there anybody disturbing you? And I'd say, me kid, there's nobody. And he would press, and then I'd be like, oh, well, there's this one guy, but nothing is like... It's not happening, right? And my pastor asked me about it, and I don't know what he heard from what I said. And he said, so okay, when would you be ready for marriage? And I said 2 years, maybe in the next 2 years. And he said, okay, 2 years. And he was like, every time I would say a number and he said it back to me, it felt so close. We got to 6 years. Literally, brother. We got to 6 years, and he was like, you know what? Okay, cool. It's all right. And he said some other things that was just like, okay, cool. And we moved on. He asked me what was the name of Ife's church. This somebody I said that was not happening. He asked me the name of Ife's church, the name of this person's pastor, all these things, right? And so I just thought, I moved on. And as a dummy that I am, I told Ife, I was like, Ife, you know, my pastor even asked me today. And I said common sense. So I just
fueled his feelings by telling him that.
As a dummy. So anyway, that happened, and then at some point, I had finally gotten into school. I was traveling. I was moving away from Waterloo and going to Ontario, and it was moving away from Waterloo, Vancouver, and going to Ontario. See, traveler jingle. But it was hard because I was leaving everyone I know and going to a place I didn't know anyone, and so and then Ife apparently hustled all his homies to come to Vancouver so he can toast babe.
Yeah, I remember
that trip.
I remember that trip. I was there on that trip.
We all went.
And where was Ife? Absolutely
He was
nowhere to be found.
nowhere.
Yep,
He was nowhere to be
Boss
found.
man,
Okay.
boss man,
When I use all of you people to hustle my own,
please hustle it. We will agree. So he hustled all his friends to come to Vancouver so he can say hi. But his saying hi was kind of somehow, because at that point in time, I was not in a high space. And it was a surprise, right? So I was like, what's all this? This is pressure, my guy. I thought we said we would breathe on this thing. Looking back, very disrespectful mindset to have. But Shasha, is that...
look at who it is.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Ife just walked through the
Oh,
door
did you
for
buy
our
me
audio
peach chips?
listeners.
You bought me peach chips?
Wow.
Starboard. Odogo wine.
Wow.
Very good. But you opened it. Did you?
Another one in the car.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
I don't need to.
Okay. But yeah. Anyway, so eventually I moved away. After I moved away, like for some reason, all my friends weren't calling me. The only
They
person
weren't calling you?
calling.
Oh,
Like they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an intentional thing, but the only person who was really like there for me type of was Ife. for some reason. Like, and I had like a really hard time when I first moved. Like, it was tough, but for some reason he was always around. And then, bear in mind, my friends in Vancouver were like, "This guy is your person," and I was just like, "Sorry about that. Don't know about that. Talk to Jesus, don't talk to me." So when I went to Vancouver, when I went to Waterloo, there was one day Ifa and I had finished having a conversation, and I was having a hard day, and I just heard the Holy Spirit say in my heart, "Are you ready to listen to me now?" And so it was like, okay, cool. And honestly, this is so weird. It was almost like as soon as I said yes, it was like every interaction I have had with him played in my mind. And that was the first time it clicked to me that in my entire life, the entire time I've known this guy, I've never lied to him. In that moment was when it clicked. Not before, not when we were friends, just in that moment. It made sense. And I now before I told him, I told all my friends, I was like, okay, I'm having a man's now. There'll be no further discussion on the matter. I'm being so honest. I literally texted
a man's now.
I can show you the message. That was it. That was the message.
That's
It said,
all I
I'm
could
having
say.
man's now. There's no discussion on the matter. And then I told him like a week after that text message. I had to onboard them first because I've talked a lot of trash in their front so that they can,
Let them know
so
what's
that they
going
can,
on.
just when they see me acting brand new, they shouldn't say anything. They should just pimp their lips. They did not. They did not.
Cute story.
But yeah, long but
Cute.
different.
I like it. Tolu, do you want to quickly share your story with us?
Sure.
Our
Honestly,
college sweethearts. Uni sweethearts. No.
I don't like the sound.
Again,
of
it
that.
wasn't really
gives me a
sweethearts,
bad.
but-
Not really, no.
I flew
But-
so close to the sun.
Our beginnings were a little more on the dramatic side, actually, because while trying to figure out what me and him were, I was also kind of still trying to figure out what was going on with my ex at that
I
time.
remember. Yeah.
And it was honestly, those were some messy months of my life, to the point that I think I have blocked it out because of how messy it was. So I don't remember mostly what happened during those times. I just remember it was bad. It was bad. But then somehow, and I thank God for this, because one thing that I'll say is that if not for God, we absolutely wouldn't have been able to get through what we got through. And it's not because as I am now, I would never have started a relationship the way I did years ago. It's just the mercies and the grace of God that we both managed to sort of find Jesus around the same time, and that we both had those characteristics that allowed us to still put in effort, and we both kind of understood what it took to make a relationship work, because otherwise there's no way we would have, because when we started it was just drama and a mess. But we pulled through and then started our actual relationship. So even when people ask us how long we've been dating, it's really hard for me because when we started dating, it was much earlier. And then when we actually clocked that we were dating, that was after. And then when we actually told everyone else that we were dating was way after. And then when the both of us decided that, you know what, this is real, that was after
that. Okay, so that's like 5 different dates right there.
literally. So we made one up.
I think in my head, I go with October of 2018 for you guys.
2018.
That's what I've said in my head.
I think that's fair, but also I think that to us we would probably go early 2019. Actually,
Really?
yeah.
I
Which
mean, that's what I
do you
said
see
in
why it's
October.
confusing? Because
29.
because that's when it was 2019 of like early 2019 when I had just gone to Regina for my master's. That's when things actually. I know. See, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's confusing.
Yeah, okay.
Can't be
I
telling me
mean,
that you
maybe
started
if that's
a
when
relationship
you
at the same
guys
time I started my
both like
relationship.
had the like
That's
heart to
when-
heart,
yes,
sit down
it's-
conversation.
yeah.
But
It's
it
not
was
that
a
we
lot
hadn't
before that.
talked about it before. It's not that we weren't feeling it before. But that was when we were like, you know what?
We're both clocked. Like
This
locked.
is
locked
it.
in.
Locked in, right?
Like this
Yeah.
is literally it. Like
Okay.
we're not gonna let, because at that point it was other people that were kind of trying to creep in.
Right.
So at that point we were like, you know what? Like F all these other people.
Right.
Like, it's just me and you, and that's the way it's going to be.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
As it should be.
But once we kind of got through all that mess and things started to kind of make sense again, and honestly, like, it's been great. Like, our relationship is so natural to me.
Right, you guys did the friends.
Yes, we were like, and we became so close so quickly because everything kind of moved so naturally. I never felt, same thing with you, like I never felt like I had to put on any kind of act. I never felt like I had to be anything but myself. I never lied to him. He never, I mean, I'm sure he never lied to me. Even till today, he's one of the most honest people that I know. And he never spared my, he never lied to me to spare my feelings. And that's one thing that I really appreciated. And he just had that, like, that character that I knew that I could depend on, even from the beginning, even before he really, truly, truly met Jesus. He was already like that. So then when he met Jesus, it just like amplified all of those characteristics. And then it gave me,
to clarify, you guys both had Christian backgrounds when you met.
Yes.
Right?
Like,
it's just,
both
when
of
did
our
you
parents,
guys deepen your individual relationships?
Yes, exactly. Like, both of our parents his parents are pastors. So
Yeah.
like he already had that foundation, but then it's a whole nother experience when you do it your like individually,
right? Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And I think by the time we had started dating, we hadn't gotten to that point of maturity at all. Like, we were still kind of under the guise of, oh, my parents are Christians, I go to church, I know who Jesus is.
That is so crazy that you're saying that, because looking back, I'm like, I did not get that vibe from you guys at all. I thought you guys were holy of the holiest, and I was trying to be as holy as everybody else.
Yeah, honestly, like, outward stuff is just it can be so deceiving.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, but we were just scrambling.
Which is fair. Like, yeah.
Like, we were just scrambling. We knew how to behave.
In the public.
We knew how to behave. Like, but then when we were like, when it was just the both of us talking, like, we would both go on about how much of a mess we were. But then I guess we sort of bonded in that being
That's
messy.
how you guys got through stuff.
Because we were just so comfortable with each other. And yeah, honestly, that was 2019. What year are we in?
2024.
2024. So
Damn.
like
6, I would say.
six,
6
I
years.
guess 6 years. But honestly, no, it's been great. It was rocky at the beginning, then it was okay, and then as we both found Jesus, it became just better and better and better.
So
Yeah.
I just realized that we're all first daughters, right? Firstborn daughters.
Facts.
All of us here.
Well,
you're
daughter.
first. You're still a
yes.
firstborn daughter.
I am technically,
Yeah, 'cause
because
you're the
the
first
daughter
daughter.
part is
Yeah.
still first. Yeah.
So, and we're all Nigerian here and Christian. So, my question to you guys, is how'd you do that? How did you navigate? There's a
many
lot
opinions.
there's a lot of pressure. Yes, thank you for that word. There's a lot expectations. I think not even just like external expectations, but you know the responsibilities that you kind of hold within your own family role, and then how did you just like manage that?
I
Like
have
managing
opinions
somebody
if you would
else, like somebody like.
Okay. Let me just. It's getting hot in here now.
My
because
first
this is
question
is
how did you manage taking your independent girl vibe into like letting somebody else, some man,
Terribly.
you know, like how did you I start. The single one should start. I should start by saying what? My
Well,
experience?
just the first
Like
half of
in
what you
dating.
said. Oh, true. Even just dating.
How
Yeah,
has
that's
it
true.
Look how she's smiling.
Like, as a first
Fine
daughter and
girl.
everything, I wouldn't, like,
If you haven't thought about it, we can go to you after.
yeah.
You're
If you
asking what
wanna-
my experience dating as a firstborn daughter has been.
Dating or just being
Dating,
a firstborn.
Yeah.
Oh my, being a firstborn girl. Oh
This-
God, there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I begin? I think. Okay. Hey, there's a lot of responsibilities, I think, as a firstborn daughter, especially if you have a more traditional household. If your parents are chill, then I think you might be chill. But like if you're coming from a more traditional household, I think there's a lot of responsibilities. I think I've had to learn how to manage expectations of people, and I'm like still to this day learning how to do that and like balance that with my own like desires, you know, like what do I want to do versus what does everybody else need me or want me to do. I think we wear a lot of hats as a firstborn daughter. There's a lot of different roles that you play. Yes, I think my experience is trying to balance that all has been interesting and difficult in general. If I take that into dating, hey God, I think letting go of the reins, like the control of certain things, or I want to do everything myself. Like I trust myself to be able to get things done. And since I already have that responsibility in a family dynamic, it's a bit harder to let somebody that I might not have known for as long, or like you're not family, to do things for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, totally. What do you think? I will add my 2 cents as we go along.
For me, it's actually very interesting because I have a bit of an opposite reaction to you in terms of the translation from firstborn in the family to like in a relationship. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I definitely understand the pressure is there. Like in my family, I'm the one who, if somebody has done something, it's also my fault. Mm-hmm. So like literally my parents will come to me and be like, why did you let them do that? And I'm just like, well, I wasn't even in the city, but all right, that's fine. I'll go talk to them. So I've always sort of been like the mediator. Like if people are fighting, I'm the one who's like, guys need to relax. Like that's just how it's been. And it comes with a lot of responsibility for sure. The pressure is there, but I never saw the pressure as like, it never felt choking for me anyway. But it was just kind of a call to do better, to do more, to like set a good example. But then so I guess what happened to me was that in my relationship life, I ended up looking for something that was very different than that. So like at home, I was used to being the one to be the one to care and to actively care and try and get things done in that sense. And then when it went to relationships, I was looking for someone to take care of me.
Oh, I see where we're opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, as soon as I found someone and I saw those characteristics in him and saw that he was able to, he had that caring nature, he understood responsibility and he was dependable. It was almost like something in my brain just like shut off and was like, so now even anytime I'm with him, I don't have to have many thoughts at all. And I'm so comfortable with it because I trust him, and because he's shown me time and time again that he can be depended on, and I've seen it. I don't have to. I feel like I can relax. I feel like I can kind of be more of myself rather than what people need me to be.
Okay.
So that was that kind of. Yeah, and I guess also on the flip side, he's also the firstborn, so he understood.
Oh yeah, you guys
were all married
to
firstborns.
sons.
That's crazy.
Firstborn sons.
Firstborn sons. Yeah, but then he also understood that responsibility as well. So I never had to explain whenever like we were hanging out and something happened at home. I never had to like explain to him why I needed to go home. I never had to.
Right, because he understood
what that responsibility meant. And in terms of like caring about your family and what that means when you have siblings that are younger than you, and if they need help, like it now becomes both of your problems as opposed to one of your problems. Right. So I never had to really explain that because he understood it, because he also had to do the same thing.
Okay. Do you guys have differing views, similar views?
Me and Temmie, we're the same babes. The same babe. Being the oldest, I hated it. Why is it? I hated it. Like I'm not the oldest anymore. I'm still the oldest. Like, why are my parents coming to me when my siblings are doing something, that's none of my business. I'm sorry. You're the parent. Figure it out. That's not my business.
Honestly.
Why are you coming to me? I don't understand.
Like,
don't talk to me about it.
yeah.
I do not care. Not that I don't care, but
It's
I
just
also
not
was
my-
like, that's
yeah,
not my
it's not my
responsibility.
role.
Like, please leave me alone. Like,
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to live my best life watching my anime, and you're coming disturbing me. Why are you disturbing me? I'm tired. So I did not like it. Like, I know, like, it's a lot of responsibility. I didn't understand why I had to do that. So I was like,
Right.
this makes no sense. I grew up with a little bit of anger problems and lack of patience. So that just, it didn't work out at all. I'm like, Temmie, control. I feel like everything, because of that environment, made me feel that I need to be perfect and everything needs to go a
Right,
specific
exactly.
way.
Yeah.
So I had learned that my thing, like my hold on perfectionism, is a need for control. My therapist told me that. I said, she said, what's the difference between perfectionism and control? I said, oh my God, girl. She blew my mind. She blew my mind. And I think that stemmed from being the oldest, is that I feel like I need to control everything, which for you, I love that you feel like you can turn off
I
your
love
brain.
that it wasn't suffocating for you.
Yeah, I love that
Like,
for
I
you.
love-
That's
yeah.
so
I don't
great.
know how it wasn't,
It's
but I think it's
fantastic.
because deep down, I have people pleaser tendencies.
So do I. That's what makes it worse.
Yeah.
I think
because
I think it's
Because when
it's
people gave me
different, though.
responsibility, like I liked it. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. No worries.
it's not like I didn't dislike it. Like
Yeah.
I think I liked it too, but
It made me feel powerful, honestly.
what do you want to say, Brittany?
Oh no, I said I think it's because. Oh, sorry. Would you say? Did your brother have certain responsibilities as the oldest?
In terms of responsibilities, I think more of the responsibility was on me, just
Yeah.
in general. But then maybe in terms of him being the oldest, maybe it was more of maybe he got a little more of the pressure
Yeah,
because he was the one who was being looked at.
exactly. I think
It was the
that's
first one that your parents, like, they learned from him and then they went to you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
So you had a
possible.
buffer.
So he was
Yeah.
literally like he was the one who was whenever relatives came around, because he was the first
to
son,
him.
he was
Yeah.
the one that they looked to. But then, like, I guess I was the one who they would come, like, my immediate family
yeah,
kind of
I get
looked, if that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
yeah, that definitely.
Did you have something you wanted to add about your experience?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, I actually wasn't expecting that question, but cool. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It was just my reality. How did I deal with it? Two things: compartmentalization and high performing anxiety. That's exactly how I coped. I think for me, looking back, it wasn't the greatest. I also grew up in Nigeria, so that didn't help. There were certain things that my dad didn't, by virtue of the kind of person my dad is, I didn't have to do. Like, I've heard from some of my, like, I have a lot of friends who are first daughters as well. And they would say, they had to be the ones who were responsible for cooking in the house. That wasn't my reality. I didn't have to. Because my dad just wasn't his thing. If I wanted to sit with him and talk business, I would do that instead. Right? So one of the things that my dad had said was he grew up, he was the firstborn from his mom as well. And his mom passed away when he was young. So he had like a lot of responsibilities really early, like taking care of his siblings. And he raised me the same way, except for one thing. In his family, he grew up in the village. So he said that women didn't have like a lot of say. He grew up also way back when. He's an old man. Sorry, Dad, love you, you're young. He grew up at a time in his family where like the women didn't have much say, much responsibility, much anything, because they would culturally they were going to marry and leave anyway, so they didn't get anything. But my dad had decided he wasn't going to raise me like that. I'm the only girl in my family as well. So he raised me basically having like both the no freedoms associated with being a first daughter, but having all the responsibilities of both a first son and a first daughter. So like anything that had to do with like the family business, I knew. Anything that had to do with like family, I was booking flights for my parents at like 14.
Yeah.
Like, so I knew how to do those things. And so I also knew that I needed to be good at school. And I needed to know how to have conversations. I needed to think about stuff. Like, there was just a lot of things that people needed from me. And there was no room for me to not deliver.
So how do you think you guys is like differing? Because all three of you have different experiences with being the firstborn daughter.
Yeah.
How did that play into your dating experiences in general? And then maybe you can think about how it played into when you were dating like your husband now.
Yeah.
Like,
I think for me, people pleasing is a very strong, people pleasing for sure for me as well. But also because of the anxiety, I was so focused on everything else in my life that I was very like, I could only have been in a long distance relationship. It could never have been close by because that would have been a waste of time. Do you see why that waste of time comment now makes sense? Because there's just like, there was no room. Like, I have school to think about. Like, I'm not going to let my grades suffer so I go on a date. Ick. Like, even if... No, I'm serious. Like, but again, I was in a relationship for most of university. I would pull all-nighters. The first time I missed a class was 4th year. I was in school. That was the first time I skipped a class.
That's crazy.
I think it's the same for me too.
Like, I could, like, it just didn't. I would
Just underachieved.
No, it's high performing anxiety.
No, I'm serious. The first ask Ife was funny story. Ife was there. Like, Ife actually helped me when we were in uni.
Helped you skip the class?
No. Like, no. So the day I got my first C in school, I had a mental breakdown.
Girl, same.
I cried for.
Should I tell my story?
She has a sibling.
I cried for.
What? I never cared that much about grades.
Whoa! I cried for 3 days straight. One of those days, for some reason, this was a time when Ife and I weren't really like, we would go through like seasons where we weren't really as close. We weren't really as close, but for some reason he came to my house that day and he tried to yarn with me and we're playing. And he hugged me as per normal and I
burst into
crumbled.
tears. Yeah.
I couldn't even stand.
Yeah.
Like, I just, my brain could not comprehend that I was capable of getting a C. First and last time ever. Could never have. Because, funny story, the day I got the C, I told my dad, and my dad literally said to me, he was consoling me. And then he said, what did you get on your other grades, in your other exams? And I was like, I haven't written them yet. Switch up. Like, nothing else. He was like, sorry, what? He said, what? You haven't finished and you're looking at your grades? Immediately I had to suck up the tears and go and read. Wow. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm serious. So for me, being with, like, dating felt like a waste of time. At the time, my boyfriend was in the UK. That's the distance.
That kind of distance?
That kind
Girl,
of
I
distance.
thought you meant you were in Kelowna. He was in Vancouver.
Nah, G,
maybe
UK.
Toronto at most.
UK. Yes, the UK. And we were together for like almost 5 years. Yeah, the UK.
Blood of God.
I'm not kidding.
Blood
And
of
the
God.
time I feel so bad. The time we broke up was when he started saying, he might be moving to Canada. That's
You
where
said it's a little too close.
yeah, literally that was my mindset. It was, this thing is becoming like real. Like, is
Yeah.
no, my friends, I can't. It's not, like, so for me, dating was not like, being the firstborn daughter had always been, my brothers moved here while I was here. I came here alone. My brothers moved here when I was like, I had kind of settled down here. And so I always had them as like, I have my brothers here and I have to take care of them. So I never really shut my brain off in that regard. when it came to dating Ife, for example, it was hard. In a lot of ways, it still is hard.
To let go of,
Like, to turn off my brain. Like,
right.
I need control. I have a desperate need for control because of the anxiety. Like, I want to, it really affected, and in some ways still, by God's grace, getting healed and delivered, but still really affects like my day to day, where like I will obsess over every single comment that is made. I will internalize anything anyone says to me, even if it has no business being with me. But just knowing how like, oh, I'm constantly at odds with everyone around me. So to date someone, I think knowing everything that all our listeners will know about me by now from this whole conversation, I had to be with somebody who understood me, or at least was trying to understand me. Because if you think about like my entire experience, I don't think there'd ever been a time other than with Ife where I had a chance for me, the real me, to breathe.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you and Ife didn't get together until after uni.
Yes.
Right. After you're out of that like
after, like I think a year way after uni. But
so
even,
I think that plays into it too, though, right? Because you were explaining earlier, like you have school to do, you have this to do, you have that to do.
so when we got together, I was doing my master's, so I was still in school, right? So it was just like sorry.
No, I was just gonna ask. So what was the
God
switch? Okay, fair enough.
Literally God, like, and that's why I was like, the day when I moved to Ontario, I had just started my master's. And literally it was like I needed to be away from everything, like get to a point where I can actually like turn off my brain. My brothers weren't with me. My brothers were living their lives.
Okay, so there was a sense of like
of
I'm freedom or individuality to a certain degree.
Like for me, even just an inch was a lot.
Right. Yeah. No,
like,
I get that.
Like you can ask, like I still somewhat do, with a lot of like responsibility.
Right, yeah.
And so the first chance where I could breathe, it's like it was like everything came crashing down, everything that I had like put in the back of my mind somewhere. But it's one thing to say yes and say, okay, yeah, we'll date. It's another thing to actually date somebody.
Right.
So when we were in the relationship, it was the first thing Ife did, or the first thing I had Ife do when he came to visit me in Ontario. Ife is such a golden retriever. Like the minute I said yes, like 2 days later he had booked a flight. He literally said, I'm not, because Ife also knew I was in a long distance relationship. He said, let me just gush on the guy real quick. He literally said to me, I'm not going to be the type of boyfriend where you keep me somewhere.
He said, I'm going to be next to you right here.
Around. Yeah. And so he showed up like 2 weeks to 3 weeks after we started dating. He came to Ontario, and the first thing he did was meet my brother in person, and my brother washed him and collected money from his hand as he should. He literally met
collected.
The first thing my brother said to him, I warned him. I told him in the car, I was like, Ife, this guy has sweet mouth. He will take you for everything you are worth. He thought I was joking. My brother saw him and said, brother-in-law, how far? Ife didn't know what to do with himself. The guy was gassed. He was gassed. No, David. He was gassed. But no, I say that to say that even then, like, I still needed him to meet my brothers. Are they comfortable with you? Like, they are so important to me that it would have not made sense to just ignore their opinions of Ife. And someone would ask, okay, like, if they had said they didn't like him, would I have said, okay, I'm not dating Ife anymore? At that time, I can say there's a high chance I would have.
Fair enough.
Just because
family,
mentally, it was just like, whoa, like, that's not real. But yeah, like, from there, it was now, okay, how can I leave? There's certain things that, like, I need to be able to trust this person with my life as well. And so for Ife and I, one of the big things that we did, we didn't call each other boyfriend and girlfriend. It felt childish. It's not, but for us.
I remember I was always wondering why he wouldn't say girlfriend.
Yeah, but I was his partner. And he was my partner. And part of it was for a way for me as well to realize that this person is not joking here. This person is there for me. This is my person. if everything in the world feels like at odds, I can hold this person and say, this is my person.
Right.
So the partner term, it confused a lot of people. But for me, it was a crutch. Like a constant reminder that I was okay and I would be okay. And so at different points in our relationship, God would reveal that, oh, your heart is safe with this person.
Right.
Like you can be with this person. I still can't turn off my brain. Like I'm jealous of you. Maybe I'll ask you to teach me how you do it. I still can't. Do you see? I just stress.
I think it's something that like,
But over
I think
time-
it's something that like over time you kind
Yeah.
of get used. Because even in my experience, you all knew me in uni. Apart, you didn't have
I didn't.
the disservice of seeing me at university.
Oh my goodness.
But
This is crazy. It's
but
okay. We're the same person, so it doesn't even matter.
yeah, like I think in how am I putting this? If I compare different stages of my adulthood so far and tie it to being like a firstborn, whatever, I think I used my friends to practice that sense of like loss of control or learning. Because I think my biggest thing is like I trust myself above everybody else. So if somebody else, which is okay, but like at some point you need to like learn how to like let somebody else help you a little bit. So I didn't, if somebody else was like trying to care for me, I was like, what? Oh, I can do that myself. Thank you very much. And I figured out that that's something that I struggled with. And then I used my friends over like maybe like 2.5 years or so as my practice, because I was like, let me not go and use some God's son to bring pain into somebody's life, right? Just like over time learning that like, okay, this person says that they want to do this for me. Even though it was breaking my heart to say yes, I will say yes. And nothing bad happened. Like it was fine and they were able to help me, or I had this really good experience because of that. Like that's how I've been able to let go of whatever I said at the beginning that I was struggling with control or whatever. Like I think over time you kind of get there, right?
If I was the first man I ever accepted a gift from that wasn't my family.
Oh really?
Swear. He bought me a pair of shoes. He bought me I think I had said in passing that I wanted Nikes. This was when we were still friends. I'm not even kidding. This was when we were bare friends. This guy got me this pair of shoes, and I'd never, even my friends, it was so difficult for them to buy me stuff. But for some reason, this guy got me a pair of shoes and I accepted them.
We love to hear it.
It was just like, I think there's a lot of things that we think God is not involved in. Like there's stuff that we can just kind of like, oh, this was just me. But like even then, like I know how like what my convictions were around gift giving and receiving. I would not have like taking it, except this person was supposed to be important to me later on, right? So yeah, being a firstborn is weird. There's a lot of weirdness associated with it.
There's a lot of different
Say
levels.
one quick thing about that.
Sure.
For me, it was really difficult, and it didn't rear its head when we were dating, if that makes any sense. I feel like maybe, like obviously I was dating to marry, and then during the relationship I was like, oh yeah, I did tell God the next man that I dated was gonna be my husband. I said, whoa, guess that's gonna be my husband. But for some reason, I don't know, maybe sometimes dating, especially at that age, 22, just was kind of like, I don't know, my head was in la la land. When I'm telling you guys, I don't know, you're saying faith, I'm saying delusion. I was just like, also when you guys said that you never lied, wow, God is good for you guys, because I definitely lied lots. And sometimes I still have little lies. Were you on your phone? No. No, but I don't think it really reared its head until like it was more real that like oh, we're getting married. Like there was more substance. So like when we were like wedding planning, which is where I find a lot of people start to be like, oh my goodness, who is this person that I've been dating? All of a sudden, like we're wedding planning, and it seems like you turn to something else. Who are you? I don't know you anymore.
I wish we had time to go into that a little more.
And so for me, that's when my control and everything like really reared its head, and like I realized like it stresses me out not being in control, because I feel like I need to know everything that's going on and how it should go. It needs to be a specific way. Because, and another thing, because I'm a nurse and it's very unpredictable and I can't have control in that aspect of my life, every other aspect of my life must suffer. I must grab it. So being married, bro, that submission thing.
Did this not show when you were dating other people at all for any of you?
No.
Like
Well, I
these
only
struggles that
dated
you're talking
one
about,
other
or
person.
your experiences?
I was a child.
It did for me. I've always been a pain alleviator. Like if something is hurting you, I will look for a way to fix it.
Okay.
And so for my ex before affair, and even still for affair, if I know something is a discomfort, I'm going to like fight to fix it. Even if I can't, I will fight to do something to fix it. That was just one thing. Another way it showed up was other people's comfort. If I know that something I want to do or something I want to say is going to make you uncomfortable, I'm not going to say it or do it.
That's like me too, actually.
I will just swallow whatever it is
I think it's
until the day
that
that my chest is full and I don't have space again. Then I'll unload everybody's issue on your head.
Everyone
And you'll be wondering, it's not me now. I didn't do that one to you, somebody else. But just being somebody who internalizes a lot of things and processes things inside, communication was still today. I'm working on it, but wow.
I feel like everybody says communication
So
is key
key.
for marriage or for relationships.
No,
or whatever.
even
friendship,
it is,
everything,
though.
yeah.
Terrible.
It is, honestly.
Especially if you're like a firstborn daughter, because there's a lot of things you
just
feel
do.
like, you just do, and there's a lot of things you feel like you don't need, like
to explain.
everyone should just get it because you get it,
Right,
right? But
yeah.
not everyone does. Not everyone gets
Yeah.
it at all. In fact, they'll look at you strange, like,
Right,
what?
right, right.
Is that how you
Yeah,
think?
because I've done that in marriage. It was like, I don't know if you don't tell me. So I find that actually, like now 2.5 years in type of thing, I've kind of, not that I've mellowed, I'm still a little bit, but I at least I acknowledge it, and I know that that's my, like, I learned like 1 year into marriage that, oh, you have a control problem, because I did not know. I just thought that's normal. What are you talking about? I don't have a problem. And so I just learned about it. So that's the first step. You need to know. And then after that, like, I'd have to, like, rein yourself in when you can recognize it, that like what you're doing. And I found, like, in this, like, after this second year, there's more things that I feel like I can just turn off my brain. For example, when we traveled to Nigeria, bro, you think I had any thoughts in my brain?
You know what's so
No
interesting?
thoughts during that travel.
Whenever we've
None.
taken a group trip, so Nigeria was one.
Mexico.
When we went to Vegas, especially, I remember Michaela saying this, that like, and I know that I assume this role, like I'll just be the mom or like even the dad in this situation. I remember Michaela was like, my brain has been turned off the whole, because we all traveled together to Vegas, right? And I remember her telling me that like she felt like she could just cruise while I like did whatever.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and like I remember just being like, damn, like I'm supposed to be working on that. Like, like I'm not supposed to.
Because it's a pattern, right? It's
yeah,
comfortable.
It's very like habitual.
You almost get joy from knowing that everyone else is good. Like I need to know everyone is situated.
So I think in like dating,
It's
guys
trust.
take offense to that because or maybe offense isn't the right, I'm gonna call it offense, but like maybe that's not the right word, but like
they think they're not reliable.
Yeah, it's taken as like, oh, you don't
need
trust me, you
Yeah.
don't need me, you don't care for me, and it's like, well,
like
You're
that's
just
a
gonna have to be
question for the
faster than I am.
guys.
That's how I used to.
Yeah.
Like I used to
just
just
be
be
like,
like,
do it better.
Yeah, like do
it before me.
Yeah, but I have learned to see it differently.
No,
but
yeah,
I think there's balance to that though, that the consolation for me has always been like, I'm not inept. I can do things on my
right,
own.
exactly. Yeah.
I want you to do it for me.
See,
Right?
I was at a place where I was like, please don't do
Yeah.
it for me. I can do it for myself.
Same. I started there. I'm still there in a lot of ways. But what helped for me was finding, like, trying to. I'd been a very rigid person for so long that I had to find places to be creative. So I started photography in uni as like my first
That
major
is such a
outlet.
good point.
Right?
Yeah.
That was the first major outlet. And then you're like, oh, okay, what else can I do that helps me center myself and where I don't have to use my brain. Right? I like reading. So now I'm reading a lot, and if anybody's trying to take away from my reading time, I got fights. It's a bit stressful.
Yeah.
I just want to read.
I'd say,
Gosh.
honestly, it's mostly trust. I think a thing that helped me was trusting and relaxing in, I don't want to say it's like the kindness of your partner. Like you
That
feel
is so
safe.
good.
Like that's what
Yeah.
helped me and has been helping me let go of more control. I'm like, okay, this person loves me. They care for me. They do all these things for me. I can trust that I don't always have to be on top of it, because just because I think that I'm always right doesn't mean that I'm always right. His thinking could also be very beneficial for me in the long run. Like sometimes I'm like, I want to do, and then he's like, you need to rest, like just relax a little bit. But in my brain I'm like, what?
Why?
Yeah, but it's coming from a place of love, and when you can like sit down and then see it, it doesn't feel like a threat, because
Right.
the control thing, everything, it
Yeah,
feels like
I think
a
it
threat.
comes. Yeah.
Because
And
at the beginning of the marriage, you would be like, I'm not your enemy. I'm not fighting you. Why do you feel threatened by what like I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
not what it is. And I feel like that's what a lot of women struggle with submission, because you feel like you're letting go. It feels like a threat, really, because you're like, okay, so you can just do whatever you want. That's really scary. So like it takes time, I would say.
I was just saying that in addition to trust in the person, like I think one thing that made it maybe even easier for me was because I also just trusted God so much. And once I knew that the relationship was what he wanted for me, I was like, well, I believe that you hear God, and I believe that God can move your heart. So, and there were so many situations where, let's say I would be battling something like inside me, something that maybe I had to tell Lulu, that maybe something that he was doing that I didn't like, but I didn't quite know how to say it. So I had chosen to keep silent about it. And like I would just get a message from him addressing that exact thing, and I haven't said a single thing about it. So I could see that, okay, this guy listens to God. This guy is someone who can be moved by God. Like I don't have to be the one to make him do anything.
Yeah.
So once I got that in my head, I'm like, well, I trust God. He's also shown me through his character and through time and time again that he can be trusted. Then
it's easier to.
then
take
it's
the reins
much
off.
easier to
Right,
just let it
right.
go, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if I don't do anything, things are still gonna go fine because God is in control, and God can move this person on my behalf.
Fair enough.
So, but now that I think about it, it sounds like it was easy for me. But then I know that when he said previous relationship is when I thought about it. Because in my previous relationship, one of the things that I struggled so much with was that I felt like if I just work hard enough, things are going to go my way. So I was like, oh, like, obviously he's going to love me if I just love him more. I know it sounds...
That's not funny.
It sounds interesting because it's like, okay, if I just continue to show him more love, he'll basically have no choice but to show me more love. Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, so that relationship ended. And like and I think honestly it was God, because that opened my eyes to the fact that it's not just about me. It's not about what I do. It's not about my works. It's literally just grace and mercy.
Yeah.
Like I could try my hardest and put in all my 100% effort into something, and it might not still work out. Like
Right,
it,
exactly.
like my effort isn't what is keeping
That's a very good point.
this.
Yeah.
So then maybe that's why the next relationship, it was like, I was like, well, if I can't turn my brain off around you, then
Yeah.
it means I don't trust you.
I think there's also like, I really like the point that you brought up about like trusting God. I think for me, I really did struggle with control to the point where it does, or it did affect my relationship with God. Like, because you know how it actually became so interesting. Some people are like, well, God, if you ask, like, God will reveal his purpose to you and everything, right? And he'll tell you what to do. For me, it got to a point in my walk with God where he would show me the destination, never the journey. Like, he can't tell me how it will happen because I will make sure it happens.
I'm the exact same way.
He can't.
Exact same way.
For example, when I moved from Kelowna to Vancouver, my rent was due, like my lease was up August 3rd. Sorry, my lease was up August 1st, 2018. I knew July 24th that I was moving to Vancouver. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. I just knew I was moving to Vancouver.
That's good.
Like, that's
Great.
nerve-wracking. So if that's the kind of relationship I've cultivated with God, and I've learned to like trust God in that way, because of that, I know on one level that I can trust the person that God has sent. It's still hard to do. It's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
If you're in that process with the person you're dating or the person that you're married to, know that it will come in time. Be patient with yourself. For the partner, be patient with her. She's just trying. Like, it's a lot. Like, think of it. It's like years and years of reinforced processes that you're trying to undo in 2 months. No, it takes a while.
Yeah.
It's easier to let go for some and harder to do for others. But eventually it will be easy.
Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna take one question, then we're gonna wrap this up.
Nice.
So,
Can I?
yeah, you can. You have autonomy. I'm not keeping you here. Okay, so I think a lot of us think that we're like mature and like, you know, we're like the best people ever and whatnot. Somebody sent a question that if we feel like we're mature women, right? How do we deal with maybe immature men that might be approaching us? And how do you make sure that somebody is being intentional? So like think back to dating your husband or people before or just whatnot, like, or maybe I can speak on this. I don't know actually I will speak on it. First of all, you probably want to check yourself, I think, because sometimes I think we think that we are the creme de la creme sometimes, like, oh, like I am the prize, I am the best, I am this, I am that, which is fair. Like you want to hype yourself up and like, yeah, like have some self-esteem, but also know that the same way that you're looking at somebody that like, oh, they are somehow they can look at you and be like, oh, she's somehow, right? Huh?
I say, I think it's smelling.
God forbid.
Not you. Tammy always smells beautiful. It's okay. No.
But about the how do you ensure that people are being like a guy in my instance, because I date men, are being intentional. I remember a couple summers ago, and at this point I was deep in singleness. Like I had gone through a breakup maybe like a year and a half before, or maybe a year before, something like that. I was like very much just chilling, trying to work on myself, whatnot. And somebody had reached out and they were just like trying to chit chat, right? And I was at a point where I was like, if I'm gonna talk to somebody, like it has to make, like, again, like don't waste my time. Like we're older now, right? And I remember I was asking this person just like questions, which I thought were chill questions, and maybe I don't think they were a bit too much, but like I was just asking like So like, what's your plan with this? Da da da. And I remember they responded with like, so I have to answer all these questions before I can even like start to get to know you. And like, obviously it was a joke and like banter and whatnot. But if I hadn't done that, I feel like if you don't know what you're looking for, then you will just go with the wind, and it will just be like a whatever thing. And then you can't really be mad at somebody for not being intentional with you because you didn't have intentions for yourself either, right?
Yeah.
That's my
I think it's half and half. I think that it's really not our job to ensure that the guys are intentional. You can't make them be more intentional than whatever they believe you deserve or are worth. It's a harsh reality, but it's the truth. What you can do is assess their priorities. If you're talking to someone and he's not prioritizing, like if you're in talking stage with somebody and you feel like you're the one carrying the conversation, you're the one begging him to message you, you don't have to entertain that.
But I feel like guys always end up doing that with girls.
I can tell you, not the right people.
I think it's a little different.
It's different if someone is asking you, if he's constantly asking you questions, then he wants to know about you. That's okay. But if it's you message him first every morning.
No, but what I mean is like from the guy's perspective though, like if they're like initiating conversation and whatnot, would that advice not apply to them too? That like if you feel like you're carrying the conversation, then
absolutely.
Yeah.
My point is both of you have to be equally invested.
Right. Okay.
You can't put more priority on the relationship than him. And you can't make him put more priority on the relationship with you, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's that balance. Like, both of you have to be equally committed or equally interested at the very least. It may start out as one person being more invested initially. Like, let's say first 2-3 conversations, you guys you just met and he's chatting you up. That's okay. Eventually, you get interested, right?
Right, and show it back.
You show up as well.
Yeah.
So there's that answer.
The question was basically assuming that you are a mature individual, how do you deal, like as a woman, say, this is hypothetical because this is not real. If I'm like, I'm a mature woman and I feel like I'm being approached or I'm just meeting like immature men, like how do I make sure that, or how do I ensure that like the men that approach me or that I talk to are mature and like intentional about whatever this is or could be?
Yeah. The second part of my answer was that if sometimes, and ladies, I love you, say this with so much love in my heart, I'm one of you. Sometimes there is a dissonance between what we say we are and who we actually are. So sometimes we say we are mature. Like, think of it this way. You spend so much time shouting, I'm a mature woman, that kind of makes you more immature.
Yeah.
Like, think of a teenager that's always shouting, I'm grown.
Yeah.
But you're not grown. No. And the more times you like affirm and scream and say I'm mature, sometimes it's the same way you're assessing them, they're assessing you.
Yeah.
And so if they're coming to you and treating you like you're immature,
I see right
like
here.
maybe for one time, okay, maybe the guy miswrote.
I get what you're saying.
2 times, 3, I need a mirror, type of thing.
Yeah.
So let's be mindful that like it's one thing if you're genuinely like you have what is maturity. You can take care of yourself. You are put together. You are cared for. You don't have your rent is paid. You get like think about what maturity is, and if your life is ticking every single box, you don't have to spend time saying that I'm mature. And even immature people, they will what's the word? When they when you streamline something, like when you cut something down. I forgot. No. Like
I don't know what the word is.
when English is hard.
Yeah.
Oh, self-filter. So
Okay.
the same way they're assessing you. This guy, I've heard from some of my guy friends that say that, you tell them, oh, this babe will fit you. And they're like, no, she's too serious for me. Literally.
Yeah.
Just because they can see you and see that this person don't got time.
Yeah.
If I'm coming to this person, I have to come correct.
Yeah.
And so like there's that, right? Like, so you two have to, you don't have to like affirm yourself that you are mature.
You'll see it.
Exactly.
Your action.
That's
So the takeaway from that is do
It's
some
two.
self-reflection and,
One.
and pray that you
One,
are
two.
actually as mature as you think
Yeah.
you are. Okay, great. Okay, thanks for talking, guys.
you want to sort?
No, we had the same point. You're good.
Oh,
I was piecing.
okay, cool. Well,
Cool.
I hope
That was
people learned something from the conversation or had fun hanging out with us.
hope so.
That's all that I have to say. Sha.
Ew.
So yeah, thanks, guys. See you whenever.
It's been released. Gang gang.
Plug myself.
Yeah. Temmie did so well, guys. Like, oh my God, let's give it up for Temmie, please.
Wow, thanks.
That was amazing. Had so much
What's
fun.
Temmie's
Handle?
Yeah,
handle
Temmie, please
again?
tell us what's
What
your
was-
handle.
It's at tem.a on Instagram.
at
And-
tem.a?
so
if you
it's
didn't
actually
get that.
TEM
Mhm.
dot AYE on
Yeah.
Instagram.
I would
and
have just
TikTok.
written
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to hang out. But that was us, Girly Pops, having a little conversation.
Nice.
Tell Ola and Funto to put us here again, maybe,
If you want to see
if you want
or hear
to hear
us.
from us again. And if you don't, keep that to yourself.
Okay. Yes, please.
See you guys next week.
Bye.